Well, actually, it was obvious to me right from day one that controlling traffic was the key to profitability and growth. Like I knew it from the very beginning. I started with pay-per-click traffic, and that's how I sold my first couple of ebooks online. I mean, my first whole bunch of ebooks online. And once that bug kind of bit me, I realized, oh, there are other ways that you can get traffic online, and I started to experiment with those. So yeah, so right from day one. Well, once in a while, a business is lucky enough to start and have a product that's so awesome that the traffic just comes out of nowhere. Now, those businesses are great, and I love them. In fact, I love to invest in them because they have a really big advantage. Now, the businesses that I've started typically don't fit that profile, and I'd say that like, oh, 95 or 98% of the people that I know that have successful businesses where they're selling things online, they also don't fit that profile. In other words, they've had to figure out how to get their traffic themselves. And part of the conversation here is about paying for your traffic, is about mastering the different paid channels of traffic. And one of the things that happens when you work on different channels of traffic, on mastering the paid channels, is you get very good at marketing. In fact, the education that you get, the marketing education that you get from buying your traffic is worth more than the traffic itself. Because if you're getting free traffic, which I love free traffic, and we've got projects right now to get more free traffic. When you're getting free traffic, you kind of do your project, and then the traffic starts coming in, and you're like, great, but there isn't. You're not kind of under the gun to make sure that you're doing everything right and to iterate and to really nail your message and your communication and your conversion funnel and all that. As soon as you see that, that bill on your credit card for $100 or whatever, and it starts, you get some sales from it, you realize, wow, and I think we've all had this experience where we forget to set our limit that day, or we do something, we make a little mistake, and whoa, we spend a lot more money than we thought we were going to. And yeah, paying for traffic, I mean, I've spent tens of millions of dollars on traffic over the years. I mean, I've spent a lot of money on traffic, and I've made a lot of mistakes with it, but it really sharpened me up. It really got my marketing skills going. Well, okay, so I think the biggest mistake you can make with paid traffic, whether that's pay per click, or you're doing banner ads, or you're doing content deals, or you're however you're getting it, is not watching it like a hawk. Okay, and right now we've got a lot of amazing tools that we can use to watch our stats and watch our traffic. I mean, I got to say, years ago when I got into direct marketing, when I got into direct response marketing, we did things that sound, like caveman kind of days, where we would write ads, and then you call up a magazine months in advance, and you negotiate getting it placed on the right-hand page in the front half of the magazine on the lower part, and you got to pay a little bit of extra. Then you got to lay the ad out, and you got to get it to them, and then you got to, they run the ad, and then you got to figure out how to track the responses, and it costs all this time and money and all this extra effort. Relative to that, what we've got available to us now, where you can have a dashboard where you can just open it up and you can see how the traffic's converting. Sometimes people complain and they say, oh, it's kind of a hassle to check my stats. And I say, man, you got to be kidding. What we have right now, this is the golden age, this is the renaissance of marketing. I think it was, let's see, Peter Thiel said, basically, you're kind of one distribution channel away from a massive home run of a business. That's kind of a paraphrase. And by the way, Peter Thiel was the guy that started PayPal, okay? And he's a multi-billionaire. He's probably the most famous guy in Silicon Valley right now. Self-made multi-billionaire in, several different businesses. He was the first investor in Facebook. And what he's noticed is if you can find that way to get your message out, that, one of them can really take you to the next level. When I started online with my first book, which was a book of dating advice, I just started with pay-per-click traffic, and if I would have just stayed with pay-per-click traffic, and that was all I had ever done, I still could have built a multi-million-dollar business. Um, but, I'm sometimes I'm a little more greedy than that. And so, I wanted to have a bigger business. And so we started other things, and we did banner ads, and we did affiliate marketing, and we did partnerships with other websites and things. And each one of them has its advantages, and each one of them also teaches you something new about business. And, again, I'm a big fan of it. Two things really helped me get to the next level and be successful with traffic that I've paid for. The first one is mastering words. Right? Different words are worth different amounts, and you learn quickly that a few words in a headline can work 2 times, 5 times, 10 times better. And so testing different words is really important. When I was teaching a lot of dating advice, my take on dating advice was a much more kind of normal approach to it. It wasn't more of this kind of pickup artist kind of way of doing it. But in all the tests that I was doing, right, pickup line, it wasn't even the words that I would use, but I started putting them in the headline. I started getting a tremendous amount of traffic, like just those words. So testing different words and asking yourself, what are the words that my customer is searching? And then, continue testing until you find the best one. But another thing that was really a big deal was what we might call stair stepping, or building a funnel, or getting people, instead of to make one like giant commitment, to make little small commitments. And since we're talking about dating advice, which is how I got started years ago online, I think a metaphor will help here. If a guy is at a bar and he sees an attractive woman that he'd like to get a date with, it doesn't really make too much sense for him to walk up to her and say, "Wow, I noticed you over here," and then pull out a ring and say, "Will you marry me?" Right? That's probably going to like scare her off a little bit. And yet, that's what we're all doing with our websites. When somebody comes to our website, we're like, here's our product, and here's how much it costs, and buy it. Rather than saying, here's a little step that you can take to get something to help you meet your needs. Here's a little free report you can download, or here's a video you can watch by opting in, and to break that big commitment down into a series of small steps and small commitments. Because if you go up to that woman and you say, "Hey, I noticed you over here, and what's your name?" That's a lot easier commitment to make. And then 5 or 10 minutes later, if you say, "Hey, what's your email?" That's a much smaller commitment, a lot safer. And then if you email her and you talk a little bit, and then you say, "Hey, what's your phone number? I'd like to call you." And that's it's a great example for marketing. When we built out our funnels and we started thinking about building a relationship with our customer, that changed the whole equation. And the reality is, when you're paying for traffic, you got to pay attention. Because if you're paying, whatever, let's say you're paying, 50 cents to get someone to come to your website, and let's say that, when you make a sale on that, maybe you're making $50 or something for your product, you got to do your math and make sure you're not spending too much money. Well, these small commitments and these small follow-ups, again, I mean, these doubled, tripled, five, we probably had, I'd say our business, I'm just estimating conservatively here, is probably a 10 times, or 1,000% bigger, because we got all those small commitments right. Yeah, if you're just getting started paying for traffic, and you're like, should I put my credit card number in there and actually give these guys money? And what's going to happen if people click? And you're kind of in that space right there. I recommend you try something that it's counterintuitive. Not many people would recommend this, but every person that comes to your website and either follows or opts in or subscribes in some way, send them a personal email, okay, yourself, and ask them, "Hey, what's your biggest challenge or frustration, or what is it that you're looking for right now? I'd like to help you." And personal. And then read them when they come back. And if you really want extra credit, also known as you want to make extra money, email them back and say, "Hey, could we talk for a few minutes?" And talk to them, right? And what you'll see, especially this one key of actually emailing them and saying, "What's your biggest challenge or frustration?" or "What is it that you're trying to do?" and then read all of those, you actually get to read the words that people are sending you. And when people are asking, or when when people are answering what's your biggest challenge or frustration, they're giving you emotional words. You take those words, and then those are the words that you go use in your advertisements. Because the words that people use when they're scared or they're triggered or they're trying to figure out a solution, they're different words than we come up with. Okay? And your customers will give you the words that you can use in your ads and in your headlines and in your, your conversion steps. When it comes to paid traffic, I think the most important mindset that you can have is you have to do it. Right? When people ask me about marketing and things, I mean, I just say, go to Google, go to Facebook, go put your credit card in there and buy some traffic. Because there is nothing that will grab your attention and make you learn some of the marketing things that you need to learn to be successful, like paying for some traffic from a place. And I mean, again, these things are miraculous. There's a window of opportunity that's open right now where we can go and we can run ads and we can see what the responses are and we can educate ourselves very rapidly. I mean, Tim Ferriss, who you know, right? He went and tested titles for his book, right? The 4-Hour Work Week. He tested them all against each other, not to sell the books, but just to see which one people clicked on the most. And then he took the name that was the one that got the most clicks and he named his book, and he's got this big bestseller. You can do so much with this. You can learn so much. So I would say, jump in, spend a little money, and go learn what you can learn from paid traffic. It's the best marketing education machine that's ever been invented.